Shalom to everyone there in Union City, and especially to your pastor, who invited me to talk to you today a little bit about Israel in the last days. But before we get to that, let me just take this time today to tell you a little bit about the book of Romans itself. You see, Paul the Apostle is teaching the Roman church in that letter about God's sovereignty and about his choices, so that the believers in Rome will be comforted when challenged by their own lack, by their own insufficiency, and their own sinfulness. In light of all that, and the assurance that Paul wants for the Roman believers, the apostle then turns his attention to an obvious question. What about the Jewish people? If God chooses the church, the believers, and we have nothing to worry about, well, what about the Jewish people? God chose them also. Are they still in God's consideration? Does he even notice them? And what about Jewish people who don't believe in anything at all? Are they still chosen? And what about an eternal plan for them and a future for Israel? The apostle deals with what might be called the problem of Israel from two different standpoints. In chapter 9, he teaches about the sovereignty of God, how God chose my people, the Jewish people, for himself back in the days of Abraham. And in chapter 10, he deals with Israel's failure to respond to God's righteousness, ending with that announcement that they're a disobedient and obstinate people. Ouch. If this is so, then how does Paul resolve the obvious tension? Will Israel's disobedience win in the battle with God? Or will God find a way to deal with the situation so as to safeguard his purpose? That's the challenge in chapter 11 as it begins. And Paul answers this by looking at Israel's past, present, and future.